All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 255 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill, admin on the KissFAQ message board. Today, our panel consists of 69th Blizzard Ken.
Hello.
St. Louis Kiss Lonnie.
What's up?
And the mighty Marcus Almighty. Mark.
Greetings, sir. How are you?
I'm
How
good.
are you guys doing?
I'm good.
Good.
It's just time to dig into some more, I guess, general Kiss topics. We're going to be working up a few kind of thematic shows coming up in the next couple of months, because there's a lot going on that needs to be done a little bit more in depth. But for the time being, I think it's more fun just to dig in to some of the kind of the board topics or the general stuff that our fellow Kiss fans are talking about, and just see if we have anything to add to the conversation. And if not, we'll help you fall asleep. So when you start snoring, you're welcome. This show should be up in time for, don't forget, tonight, Thursday, the 11th. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be streaming a special multicam unreleased Hot in the Shade tour video on Facebook. You can find the link for that on the FAQ. And if you're watching this after that, well, you've missed it. I'm sorry. It's just going to be the one broadcast. It's not something that we want to have shared. That's just the terms of it being shown. But people who are able to see it will get maybe a glimpse of something that they haven't seen. And if it's not interesting, then all you lost was bandwidth. So don't use it on your phone. All right. What else is going on? Oh, yeah, I got some mail yesterday, and I'm a loser. And I'm going to prove it. Because I bought it.
Oh, yeah.
I bought the Vinnie Vincent, where is it? VVLostconcerts.com, okay? Vinnie signed.
Lostconcerts.com.
Lost Concerts. That's as close as he's getting to hitting the stage. Is one of these. You know what? It's actually pretty thin paper, but I don't care. I booked a flight and a hotel and bought tickets to the Graceland show. That didn't happen. And when the artwork came out for it, I said, hey, that would be really cool to buy. And that's ultimately all I ended up with from this Vinnie Vincent experience, is a poster from the non-existent event. So I'm going to hang it next to my Dillon Stadium and my Elder Tour posters, because it's about as valid as those. Actually, again, I like the artwork. And since I've got the really cool Ace Frehley one that a good friend from Australia, James, brought me, and the Gene Simmons one, which he also brought me this year when we met up in LA for the show. It'll be up there with that. So it is what it is. Laugh if you wish. I'm just going to play I Want to Be Your Victim in the background while I hang this up on the wall. So
Nice.
That's that. Have anyone bought any Kiss stuff this week? Anything of interest that you've added into your collections? Funkos?
I got something.
Oh, yeah, good. What?
I got, in the mail, I got the poster, the book, the Phantasm.
Oh, nice. That looks
nice.
good.
Issue number 2. It has, obviously it says 6 giant pull-out posters. I haven't pulled them out. I probably will pull them out and look at them.
Yeah, why not?
Why not, right? I'm not that worried about it.
Well, you bought 2, didn't you? One to actually open and one to leave mint in package.
You're not a real Kiss fan.
They have I forget how many covers they have of this. It's something like 4 or more. It says on the back of the issue. Maybe not there. Somewhere it's advertising. Oh, there's 6 variants. So there's your variants in the back there. These covers.
Collect them all.
I'm not collecting them all. I'm just getting the one. I like this classic picture. That's why I decided to do that. The backside has a live shot poster or whatever, and it has some good little, articles. First album about the first album, about Kiss Alive. There's one about Dynasty.
Who wrote the articles? That's what I always like to know.
Different people. Brian Stewart, Chris Alexander. Oh, we got else. Another Brian Stewart. Again, Brian Stewart. He did a lot. Brian Stewart. Yeah, he's a busy writer, man.
Good.
Justin Beam did one.
Oh, Beam's, yeah.
Comic book Legacy. And yeah, another Brian Stewart. So yeah, it's mostly the one guy, but they're good. They're good, and it's a nice little magazine, glossy cover. It's not cheapo or anything. Comes with, you get a couple little like baseball cards, collector cards with it too. So it's good. So I have the first issue, and this is the second issue.
Nice.
I don't collect everything, but I like it. It's pretty cool.
Did you order the Ace one?
No, I did not order the Ace one.
Well, it's about to ship, so now you can order it, and you won't have been waiting 14 months for it. So
that's true. I could still order it. I'm kind of on the fence. If someone shows what's in it, I might, decide to buy it. So.
Well, I'm tempted just because there aren't that many bits of Ace-specific merchandise out there. So there we go.
Cool. I did get a couple of things too, but the problem is I totally forgot that we do this segment because I haven't been on this show for so long. But the funny thing is that it's one of them is from our good friend Mr. Keenan. Me and him went through a little exchange trade, and I got the colored vinyl solo record set from him because he had an extra one that he wasn't in pristine condition, and you know me, I don't care about pristine condition. So I got it off of him, and I'm very happy, and thank you again, Ken, for hooking me up with that. I also got I'm on this French pressings kick, so I got a French pressing of Dynasty and a French pressing of, I believe it was Unmasked. Well, one of the other ones. And I also got a 7-inch single of a French 7-inch single of Magic Touch. So I'm on some sort of French kick thing for some reason. But thank you again, Ken, for the albums. It's really cool.
You deserve it.
I got everything. I got the he gave me everything in it. The pictures and the vinyl mat there thingy, right? Everything. So thanks again, man. I was really, really happy with that.
So have you looked at these records just to make sure that he didn't swap out the colored vinyl for copies of Destroyer and Elder?
They're all Destroyer.
They're all Destroyer
variations. Yeah, 4 variations of Destroyer.
I
checked it. That would have been funny, actually.
Think about that. Then put it in another little behind it. I could have put this other little wrapped up thing, which would have had the color ones.
But just to tell you how cool a guy Ken is, though, too, besides that, he sent me a bunch of other records on top of it that I didn't have at all in my collection. Some of them are pretty cool, like American pressings of Deep Purple records and stuff like that. So thanks, Ken. I really appreciated that.
That's cool. Lonnie, you obviously only have a beer, but have you bought any Kiss-related merch lately?
I got the Peter Criss 2014 reissue this week. Came in the mail on Monday. So I'm trying to round out my 2014 reissue still, and I got Peter Criss at a good price. It's one of the more rarer ones out there, and I got it at a good price. And I'm opening my 2014 reissues to play those because I don't like playing my original ones that are 40 plus years old, just because I don't like taking them in and out of the sleeves all the time and open them up. So I'm trying to round out those 2014 reissues because those are the ones that I play. So
they sound good,
and they sound great. And I was opening it up and I was like, and showing it off my wife. She's like, really into this. And it's like, here's the poster, and here's the Peter Criss has a slip sheet, that comes with it. It's the only one that came with the slip sheet, and I'm like, where's the order form? There don't have the order forms in here. And she's like, what? I go, well, they originally came with order forms. You could order, merchandise from, each album. She's like, because Kiss fans would have tried to order it again 40 years later.
Yes.
You're probably right.
That's true.
So she has no respect for us whatsoever, right?
No.
That weird.
Well, especially me.
That we are dense. that we still call the phone numbers on record labels, probably.
By tearing off the mail order and mailing it in.
Now, I thought the Peter LP had gone out of print and then come back in print and gone out of print. So, who knows?
It was still sealed.
Yeah. Well, cool. Glad you added that. All right. Talking about Peter, that's some good news, actually. Peter's announced his appearance at the New Jersey Horror Convention, October the 12th and 13th. Of this year, so you can go and see Peter and look at the thread on the FAQ. Everyone always raves about these experiences of going to see Peter and get stuff signed. There are a couple things he doesn't like to sign, so make sure you're aware of those before you go. It doesn't need to be a big deal. You can buy drum heads from him there, and I think the proceeds go to charity. And always a good blast. And also about Peter, last night he was at the Rob Zombie show. I have no idea where, but some great photos of him with the band have been circulating. And he brought John 5 a birthday present, his Canadian gold record for his solo album from 1978 for sales of, I think, 50,000 copies in Canada for gold. And also a 1975 Kiss ticket stub. So really cool. The Cat Man, God bless him. He just, continues to be, for me, the coolest original member of Kiss. He just goes out there and does fun stuff and celebrates history and doesn't get involved in the drama. So that's really awesome to see him hanging with, John 5, I know, did some recording work with him. So who knows,
Rob Zombie's a big Kiss fan too.
Yeah, it's not the first time he was with them. He went up on stage.
My niece goes to University of Kentucky down in Lexington, and we went to Rupp Arena where the basketball team plays. And there's a picture in Rupp Arena of Rob and Sherry sitting up top in the rafters in 1996 for the second show of the reunion tour.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a pretty big supporter of Kiss there. And I mean, Peter Criss has been known to go to Rob Zombie shows a few times. I mean, didn't he go up and play like God of Thunder with them once on stage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yep. So that's really cool. All right, let's get into a few of the quick takes from the board this week. Some of these little topics that just go around, which are good for quick fire conversation. And Mark, let's start with you on this because, it's the usual, the set list. Songs that you like but are sick of seeing in the set list. What would be your top pick off the top of your head right now?
I don't know. I mean, let's put it this way. Most of the set list that they're playing are all songs that we're all familiar with and probably could say, that we're sick of pretty much all of them. I mean, I haven't been following the current tour, so I'm not sure if I'm going to put my foot in my mouth with any of these selections because maybe they might have dropped something already. But I know I've always been kind of tired of the whole "lick it up" bit. I know that's one song that I wish that they would just finally give up on. I mean, I'm going to be realistic. Everybody would probably say, "Oh, drop Rock and Roll Night." I'm so sick of it, but they're never going to do that. That's such a classic part of their show. They need to keep that in, right? So, but I think it's songs like that, like the "Lick It Up," and I mean even like back even before we were talking about how most of us were sick of War Machine. Now I don't even know if they're playing that still now, but
they are.
They are.
But those would be probably might be my two top picks: "Lick It Up" and "War Machine."
Lonnie, how about you?
I don't mind "Lick It Up" being in there. I do wish they would drop the "Won't Get Fooled Again" musical instrumental that they do in the middle of it, just to shorten up the song. And by doing that, maybe you could throw in another 3-minute quick song like "Come On and Love Me" or something like that. I wish they could do something like that. I mean, it was cool the first few times they did it with, that's really cool how they incorporated that song in there. But, we've been doing that since 2009 maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe
a long time.
Maybe 2000, somewhere around there. It's been a long time they're doing it. All right, it's kind of run its course. We've been doing that a decade now at this point. We've seen that. But the songs I wish they would drop are although it's cool on the tour right now, I don't need to hear Psycho Circus in there, although I do like the graphics that they're using. I wish they would use those graphics for more, like not those graphics, but similar type graphics with like album artwork incorporated into it for more songs than just Psycho Circus. Like they could use some kind of Creatures artwork for I Love It Loud or for War Machine or something like that. But I don't need to hear Psycho Circus in there. They've done that multiple times over the last few years. I could really do with them dropping that, and I Love It Loud as well for a second one. Again, that song's been in the set list every year since the first farewell tour 19 years ago. It's kind of run its course as well, and it kind of seems to plodge along, and just it's like, all right, I get it. So those would be my two.
Well, do you know when Alice Cooper hangs someone on stage, or some of the other bands used to decapitate blown up? You could always bring a doll of Vinny on during I Love It Loud and hold it over those flames. You know, remember Paul's rants about Michael Jackson in the mid '80s? You know?
Yes.
Yeah, that could be his bet. But you were saying that they're never going to drop Rock and Roll All Night. Actually, there's 2 shows already on this tour that it hasn't been performed at. One, of course, was shortened by lightning and thunderstorms.
Oh, yeah.
And the other was the Sirius XM broadcast. There was no Rock and Roll All Night that night. So that's kind of weird.
Wow.
Ken, what would be your picks to acts from this set?
Well, I do agree with the picks already. I mean, look it up. Come on. I like the song, but like Lonnie said, that Who thing is just ridiculous at this point. They should use the original demo version, in my opinion. I think that if they did it like that, it would have been great. It always needed a solo anyway. I don't know. That was always a weird thing for me. It didn't have a real solo in there, but whatever. Another one I was thinking of was "Do You Love Me?" I think they could just pick a better song to throw in there.
They replaced it with they replaced it with Crazy Nights.
Oh, that was Crazy Nights. That's right. Well, yeah, I would have picked. I don't know if I would have picked Crazy Nights either. That's right. They did do that, didn't they? The show I saw, it did not have Crazy Nights. All right, so on the first U.S. leg.
Count your blessings.
But you're right. Yeah. So, but I would have went for something else. Even throw a nugget, put in like I Want You, or something like that. Something, because Rock and Roll Over still needs to be more represented than just calling Dr. Love, which they threw in late anyway. Throw in something else. I mean, I Want You or Naked Love.
Ladies'
Room. Great one. Yeah. Ladies' Room. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking Gene songs for some reason.
Yeah. So
love
that's I agree with your guys' choices too. I mean, I Love It Loud. Yeah, it's been playing forever. They could switch it out here and there. Switch it out with Unholy or something one night. Do something different.
Yeah, I think it's about representing more of the band's history throughout the set. Crazy Nights, I would love to say get rid of it just because it's not one of my favorite songs live. But it represents Bruce's era of the band and Eric Carr as well. Yeah. So I would feel guilty getting rid of it. I then say I want to get rid of I Was Made for Loving You, but that's Dynasty. And it's kind of tough that having 2 songs from Creatures of the Night in I Love It Loud and War Machine makes War Machine an easy target for me to then say. And of course, I agree with what all of you said with Lick It Up. I don't have a problem with the song as much now. It's always been one of the songs I'm like, please stop. And when I think Lonnie mentioned I Want You, I was like, God, no, because that's another one of the cringeworthy songs that have just dragged on way too long. But if you put I Want You in,
something else in there.
Yeah, they don't have to drag it along. That's the thing.
I know, but I don't know. Does Paul have the capability? Yeah, because he turned I Want You, which was a song I loved, into a yodeling fest of torture.
8-minute song.
But he can't do that anymore. Right. But he can't do that.
Well, that's why they don't play it. And that's why they don't play it.
Yeah, but if they did play it, he would try to do that. So I think Lick It Up has to stay in the set because it represents that album. The Unmasking album, and it's important. Get rid of that long-winded middle section. Yes. I don't need to hear The Who performed by Kiss any more than I need to hear Led Zeppelin performed by Kiss. And add in another song, be it Come On and Love Me or Strut or better yet, another song from the 80s, like Tears Are Falling, something else that most people will recognize that will represent Bruce's era. And should he ever be able to make it a guest appearance, he'd be able to play the hell out of, even miss Hide Your Heart. But you know what? Overall, in terms of the four shows I've seen, I've enjoyed the set completely, and I've, even though I've known what was coming each time, I've not had any complaints other than I do get bored during Lick It Up, and there's 3 songs I think in the middle of that set that just become 10-minute exercises each. So get more, cut them out. And get more classic songs in there. Strutter, Come On and Love Me, stuff off, Bruce's era, just so that you do really have as many albums represented, because every album has a fan that's their favorite album, and that there's nothing from Revenge in there, other than God Gave Rock and Roll to You after they turn up the house lights. Doesn't count. Exactly. All right, let's go on to the next quick question. What is one of the classic or iconic Kiss songs that you don't like, that you would be brave? That's not difficult for Mark, of course, with Destroyer, but Lonnie.
There are 2.
All right. Well, why don't you start while everyone else gets their thoughts together?
Okay. Well, one that immediately jumps into my head is Great Expectations. I always loathed that song. I just that whole, Gene. I just never liked that song lyrically about it. I mean, the original version of it, even the original lyrics was even kind of annoying, but I just never took to that song, especially with the whole orchestration and the Bob Ezrin overproduction of that whole record. It's just, just a big syrupy mess, in my opinion. And I guess if I'm going to pick another one, I would say Two Timers, another song that's, I guess in a classic period, but I've never liked that. I think it's a really poor attempt of a song that Gene kind of just squeezed in onto a record.
Wow. Well, you're going to hear from people. All right, Ken, what about you?
Well, when you say classic, are you talking about just the classic
period?
Are we talking original 6? Or
original 6?
I was thinking that was some of the more heavily identifiable songs.
That's what I was more identifiable.
What they're known for.
The core catalog. So that's how I read the question. But hey, you know what? There's no rules here, Mark. So
hey, Great Expectations is pretty known. Come on.
Yeah. That's a real hard one. I really cannot think of the core known songs, I guess, that Kiss fans think are classic. I have a hard time picking one. I really do. I mean, Flaming Youth. If I'm going to throw out one, Flaming Youth. I like it, but I can let it go. There you go, Mark. I just think it's done well. It's pretty good. But I don't consider it a classic, in my opinion, as Kiss classic. It's just one of those ones. I mean, people get excited about it because it never was, really played, and they played it, a few years back, and that was cool that they did that. But I'm not excited about it. That excited about it. I don't know. I had to pick one song. That's the one I came up with.
Good pick.
And that's why Kiss won't perform deep cuts, because of fans like you.
Well, exactly right. Yeah, it's all my fault.
Thanks, Ken.
Oh well.
All right, I'm gonna take Mark's shovel and dig myself a hole here. Cold Gin is just one that
I'm right there with you.
Doesn't work for me. It goes on too long. It's a cool riff, but it's plodding. It's not very dynamic or exciting, and it's just one of those songs, whenever it comes on in concert, that you just know it's going to be 6 to 8 minutes. And I'm like, I really prefer more up-tempo songs. I know that it's Ace's song, and I'm forced to hear it by Ace when I go see him too, so it's just one of those songs. Give me Come On and Love Me, Strutter. That's the stuff I like. And
is that the beer break song?
Cold Gin is just so turgid for me.
Cold Gin is a bathroom break or a beer break.
Yeah.
So, right, I'm right there with it.
Yeah, it's kind of the 2 beer quick whiz break, not the 4 beer long 100,000 year drum solo break. Yeah, Lonnie, yours?
Yeah, you kind of stole my pick with Cold Gin, but if I had to pick a second one, and this isn't very hot take-ish like the Cold Gin one is, but I Was Made for Loving You is a song I could really skip to. Especially the studio version of it. I really feel they got it right with like the way it sounds on maybe as unpopular as a Live 3 is. I think it just sounds so much better the way they did it on a Live 3 as opposed to a studio version of it. Or like if you listen to like a bootleg of like the Dodger Stadium show that you went to, Julian, there's some good versions of that circulate. It sounded really good that night too. But I have a hard time just wrapping my head around the studio version of it and the disco feel of it, and it never resonated with me. And I'm sure it never resonated with a lot of Kiss fans, even when it came out. But Cold Gin was going to be my pick though originally. But those two are right there.
Wow,
and they play them both on this tour.
Yeah. Well, we're just passing around that shovel today. All right. Let's go straight back to you for this next one, Lonnie. It's so has Revenge gotten better over time for you?
I commented on this thread, and what I said on the thread was like the 12-year-old in me when it came out loved the album just because, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite bands. One of my favorite bands at the time, probably, and Revenge propelled Kiss past Guns N' Roses in 1992 at that point. For me anyway. And, I loved the album when it came out and it resonated with me when it came out with songs like Domino and songs like Spit and I Just Wanna and like the darkness of Unholy and how cool Take It Off sounded to a kid. And when I listen to it today though, I still love it. I may love it even more than I did back then. And, not because the songs that have changed, obviously the songs are still the same, but I think it just resonates with me more. Not only are they great songs, but every time I listen to it, it just brings me back. And you hear people talk about when they go to Kiss songs, it makes me feel like I'm 12 years old again. Well, maybe that album makes me feel like I'm, like Paul talks about how, there's certain songs that, are snapshots of people's lives. And maybe that album is a snapshot of my life, and it just brings me back to simpler times, where I didn't have to worry about mortgage and my grass and my job and everything else that I deal with on a daily basis. When I listen to Revenge, it's just like all is right with the world. So maybe for the wrong reasons that other people are going to say Revenge has grown with them. That's why Revenge has just grown with me. And when I listen to it today, I love it even more than I did in 1982.
No, fair enough. For me, no. I still think of it pretty much the same way. I still think that if you want a great guitar album for Kiss, that Crazy Nights surprisingly is its equal in terms of Bruce's work on that album. I think Bruce just shines on more albums than he's given credit for shining, and everyone kind of just says that Revenge is his high point in the band, and I think that's deeply unfair to what he brought to the band, especially when you go back and listen to the guitar work on, say, Crazy Nights. I still have the same problems with Revenge that I did back in 1992. I think it just bothers me less these days. So it hasn't gotten any better for me. It's just gotten less annoying for me as I've gotten old and have just surrendered. So, Mark, Revenge.
Well, I think you might be surprised to hear me say it. Yes, I think it has gotten better for me over time. Surprisingly that, Mr. Ezrin is behind it. So you would think that, it probably wouldn't get better. But you know what? I got to give credit where credit is due. The one thing that I really like about this record that has grown with me a lot more, that's made it better for me, is the production of it. I think he did a great job of it. It's one of my favorite Bruce Kulick guitar sounds of a record that he's done. I think his solos are absolutely on fire. I love that solo sound that he has with the wah pedal. I think it's really gnarly and crunchy, and I really love that stuff. Of course, I'll say though that whenever I'm listening to it, like I've been listening to it actually, funny enough, a lot more recently on vinyl downstairs. But whenever I get to spit, I can't help but go to the washroom or throw in some laundry so I could skip listening to that horrendous monstrosity of a song. But then other than that, I think it's good. I think it's definitely improved on my scale of Kiss albums. And again, I think it's because I've learned a lot more musically about things, about production and stuff like that. And I think Bob did a good job. But again, I'm going to still say it one more time. As a producer, shame on you, Bob, for not filtering those crap lyrics out. As a producer, you should have been on that for front and forward, and made sure that it didn't sound so juvenile.
Whoa! Juvenile lyrics, and you love rock and roll over. Again, I know I've yelled at you before about this. You love rock and roll over. Put your hand in my pocket, grab onto my rocket.
Yeah, that was. They were 20-some-odd years old. A bunch of old men on Revenge.
I promise not to do that. What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, I knew it set him up.
Juvenile lyrics. It's Kiss, for Christ's sakes. It's all juvenile lyrics. Nothing to lose? That's so juvenile.
Hey, Elder isn't juvenile.
That's one freaking album. That's all we're even talking about. Stay on topic.
The concept.
Yeah.
The concept was not to be juvenile. That's why. All right. Let me
Ken, please.
Interject.
Voice of reason.
Here we go. I know Lonnie's very passionate about this album because he posted twice on the same subject in a row.
And Ken called me out over it.
I called you out. I agreed with you though that Revenge, is a great album, of course. But for me, and I'm just trying to remember, I was so excited that they did such a freaking great album when it first came out. I remember it was kind of like when Creatures came out. I was that excited that they were back again in the same way. And so I played that like over and over and just kept it on rotation. But as time has gone by, I think it's about the same. I mean, it may have dropped a little, actually, slightly.
Wow.
I don't know what it is, but I still love the album. As for Julian's comments about the guitar, to me, they're both equal in guitar quality, or Bruce's just great solos that he did on both albums. I mean, they're just great, but they're different styles. They're two different styles of guitar solos. It's because it's kind of evolved from that other type of style that was popular when Crazy Nights came out. I don't know, with the wall bar or whatever he was doing, tremolo or whatever. But anyway, so it was different. But whatever it is, I gave him total props for both albums because they're great solos on each one. These are not guitar. It's not all about the guitar solo. It's about the whole freaking sound. And the problem with Crazy Nights is just the neutered sound of that album. That's why I discount that album. Not because of Bruce. Bruce was great. It's just the production of the album. Though they kept his guitar up in that, which is great. I like that. It's just otherwise it's kind of neutered, in my opinion.
Does this anything to do with the picture of Paul on the back of Crazy Nights?
Oh,
we don't talk about that anymore.
Sharpie. I colored over that area. I drew in shorts.
Yeah, I drew it.
He colored it in.
Just a black plastic bag around him. Yeah. No, I wish they'd do a remix of Crazy Nights, but again, it was kind of, what was it, the Jake E. Lee kind of school of guitar playing in the mid '80s, 85, 86, the George Lynches.
They're all doing the same thing.
Yeah, and then by 1990, you've got a different kind of lead guitar player who's become big, and it was, of course, I guess, the Slash school of guitar playing,
right?
More dynamic attack. Yeah, a little bit more, but there's just so much attack in Bruce's guitar playing that's more evident in Revenge.
Rockin' Pod is back. The annual celebration of rock returns to Nashville. This convention brings together the best rock stars, music podcasters, vinyl and memorabilia vendors, and rock fans from all corners of the globe. Special guests include Michael Sweet of Stryper, Brian Forsyth of Kix, Jason Beeler of Saigon Kick, Eerie Vaughn of Danzig, and members of Exodus, Roxy Blue, Every Mother's Nightmare, Kick Tracy, and more. Music podcasts from all over North America will be recording on-site all weekend. Special pre-party featuring The Rock and Roll Residency, The Talisman, 8 Ball, and Lipstick Generation on Friday night. Rockin' Pod Expo on Saturday. Join us at the Nashville Airport Marriott August 9th and 10th for Rockin' Pod. Podcast registration and tickets and VIP packages available now at rockinpod.com.
All right, let's get into openers for the U.S. Summer Tour. People, of course, are counting dots, and they don't see how painting could continue to be done. David Garibaldi has opened up quite a few of the shows in Europe and will be finishing up his run. Has that kind of run its course? Should they be teaming up with a band? I was throwing out some ideas of Sebastian Bach. I actually said Skid Row, but they're on tour, and Sebastian's on tour as well. But 30th anniversary of the debut Skid Row album. It just seemed ideal. Skid Row, of course, has opened up for Kiss with both Sebastian and without, so they were kind of like a band that I thought would be a great thing if additional tickets need to be sold. Ace Frehley? No. Get Return of the Comet. Yes. No.
Get the Bruce Kulick band, but I'm sure he has dates with Grand Funk.
Oh God, yeah, and you know what? I love the music, but would it put asses in seats for the masses?
No, but it'd be fun.
Well, yeah, of course it'd be fun for us, There might be 3 people who jump off the fence because Bruce was going to be there. All right, Lonnie, give us some of your ideas.
Bruce would be fun, obviously. I like the Sebastian Bach idea, but I know he has summer dates lined up as well. I don't know. I have a strange feeling it's going to be, if it is a band, it's going to be a nobody band, or it'll just be local acts at the various cities that they play. As much as I'd love to, and I don't know, I mean, you look at, if you go on Ticketmaster and look, there's quite a few empty seats for some of these sheds. So maybe they do need to add a not substantial, but just something to sweeten the pot a little bit.
Highly credible band.
They get people that are on the fence to say, yeah, that might be worth it. So, I don't know. Ted Nugent? Ted Nugent was fun on the Farewell Tour 19 years ago. People he's still semi...
Wango to tango.
It's okay.
Stranglehold, free for all.
But I don't know. I have a feeling it'll be something. If it's not the Painter, I have a feeling it'll be something like a puppet amphitheater or something like that. I don't know.
Puppet show.
Puppet amphitheater.
Like a little puppet amphitheater before the show. I don't think it's going to be anything
They put the
to get you excited. I really truly don't. I'd love it if it was something decent, but I just don't think so.
Well, on that note of positivity, let's move on to Mark. Mark, cheer us up with some ideas here.
Well, it's funny we were talking about the whole Sebastian Bach thing, because I remember when he put a posting up about trying to, fire up the guys to come on, let's give it a shot and get back together again, the whole 30th anniversary. I thought that would have been a fantastic idea for a band to bring on tour with them, because, that would bring in a lot of people, mainly because of the fact that I think lots of people want to see a reformed Skid Row. Maybe not as popular as Kiss, obviously, but just enough that they would probably kill those empty seats that Ken was talking about just now, right? Another thing, when Lonnie was talking about maybe bringing a more substantial act might help, and everybody's saying Bruce. Well, what would it be like if they did a joint tour with Grand Funk, Kiss and Grand Funk? Maybe that might be something to think about. The American band, with Kiss, and maybe that might be a thing, like you know what I mean? Because they did it before, and I'm kind of on this whole kick with this kind of idea, because I just came back from seeing a show where they did something similar to that whole Yes Royal Affair tour, where it was Yes, Asia, Carl Palmer, and Moody Blues there. So, and it was a great show, and I mean, they all kind of related to one another in one way or another, and so the audiences really cross-pollinated nicely. So maybe a band like Grand Funk, the audience would cross-pollinate. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know enough about Grand Funk to be sure about that, but there's an idea.
Yeah, classic rock, and we're an American band, and versus we're an American band who've sold the most gold records. Sorry, I had to go there. Ken.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to find someone. I was thinking, trying to get. It doesn't have to be a steady band throughout the tour. If they could somehow finagle bands where they're going to play that are popular or more popular city or area, general area of the state or city, whatever. So I was thinking, for instance, like Oakland, that show we're going to in September, something like Y&T open for Kiss.
Julian does not agree.
He doesn't like Y&T, but something like that. Some other, well, yeah, Metallica. No, that wouldn't ever happen, obviously. But or some other. I guess otherwise it'd be kind of throwaway bands. Maybe they don't need anybody open. Maybe that's the thing. I mean, they had the painter. They can have like someone said, a sculptor. But I mean, it's like what's the next art thing?
Maybe like one of those guys that like has like the chainsaws and makes like
ice
sculptures
out
of ice.
Right, or an ice carver.
Ice
or like
carver.
has the chainsaws like a piece of wood and make something out of that.
A holographic Bob Ross.
A holographic, yeah.
Bob Ross. Do you remember him?
Oh God!
Happy little
trees.
I love Bob Ross.
Yeah. Oh God.
I don't know. It's just a tough one at this juncture. I don't know.
Okay. Here's two more ideas. One I threw out on the thread was Wasp, 30th anniversary of Headless Cross. Oh no, that's Tony Martin was 30th anniversary of Headless Cross, and it's the Headless Children, of course, for Wasp. But probably not. One which I'm stunned that I didn't think of was Slaughter. It's 1990 was the release of Stick It To You, and of course they could have simply come on stage and open up the tour by performing All Systems Go in its entirety.
Wow! Damn, Gina.
And Mark's already got the guitar. Home. Yeah, Mark's got the guitar, and he can obviously play it. So no, Slaughter would be fun, and obviously they have opened for the band before in 1990, but they don't do a whole lot of shows these days. I don't believe. So, just no Vince Neil. No more Buck Cherry.
No.
Yeah. But I again, it depends. Do they need someone? I just don't like local acts tremendously.
Neither do I.
Or bands like Saliva.
Oh, boy.
Who I did enjoy, but...
Papa Roach.
They were bad in 03 when they opened.
Off the Roots,
Yeah.
311, you know.
It's tougher because, again, the stage, now that we have a better idea of what it's like outdoors, so we have a good idea that it's going to be adapted into the sheds in the U.S. in a similar manner to that which has been done outdoors in Europe, maybe with one or two changes, who knows. It doesn't leave a lot of space for you to be able to have a valid second act. I mean, if you see the pictures from some of the festivals, which are obviously their own case anyway, with the big Kiss stuff behind you performing, a lot of
King
bands.
Diamond.
What, doing all of Abigail?
That'd be amazing, Grandma. They can share the stage. You know, he can put like holographic castles behind them and stuff. Come on, be amazing. And plus, Gene and the King, they don't get along too well because he sued King Diamond for his makeup, saying it was too similar to his.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're going to be the band that opens.
Well, there you go. Maybe as part of the payment to Gene, they can open for free.
Yeah, and instead do Merciful Fate. Don't Break the Oath. The whole album.
Oh, there you go.
Start to finish. Yes, that I'd be down for. All right, so. I think we're not going to reach into the deeper one. We'll have to revisit that maybe next week. So I think let's just do one more of these quick takes and call that a show for this week. Eddie Kramer, Post Alive, a letdown. Was the Post Alive era a letdown when you take into account his production of what was a great live album and then kind of the decline in production on Rock and Roll Over and particularly Love Gun? Yeah, so this, again, it's a thread. And what are you talking about? I'm not talking about anything. I'm simply reading the shit. I'm trying to figure out how the Post-Alive era could be seen as a letdown. But there you go. What are your thoughts on that, Ken, other than no?
Well,
no.
Rock and Roll Over, I love production on that. So that's not a letdown. I mean, that's about the best you can do in a studio without being live. And I mean, they tried to replicate, by recording in that theater to create some kind of live environment in order to get that sound. But yeah, to me, it sounds great. I've always loved the rawness of it and the crunch. It's just always been good for me. I mean, obviously, I think Love Gun got a little bit too polished, but I think that it was maybe a pressure of trying to fit in with the trends of the sound that were coming out at that same time. Again, the I don't know, Boston's Foreigners, whatever, other bands like that. That had that kind of more of a polished sound. So I think that was it there. But if you go to then onward to Ace Frehley's solo album, that might be the perfect sound, really, over Rock and Roll Over. It's like a step up Rock and Roll Over, I think. I think that would have been the Kiss sound, should have been the Kiss sound, maybe going forward. So I don't see any decline. Even, I don't know what else other bands he produced around the time. I know he did, but I can't compare. I'm not going to compare to Kiss. So I say no decline.
Agreed. I don't see a decline. Obviously, Rock and Roll Over is about as far away from Destroyer as you can get, and very close to what was the sound of the band on Alive. Love Gun, of course, was more polished, but they bounced back. Alive too is fantastic sounding, the studio side of that. So I don't see anything with what was being discussed there. Mark?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that was said. I mean, what they were trying to think of, I'm not too sure. But I mean, if he was maybe only talking about post-Alive live albums, well, yeah, maybe Alive 2 wasn't as good as Alive, and maybe Alive 3 wasn't as good as Alive 1, right? I mean, his production, although Eddie Kramer vows that he had very little to do with that Gene and Paul pretty much overtook the production of that. So no blame given to Eddie for that. But Rock and Roll Over is the best Kiss album, hands down. I mean, there's no getting around it. I mean, he did a fantastic job on that. So there's no letdown there. Love Gun is very good too. I've always loved that album. I mean, yeah, it is a little bit more polished, but it's not too bad. It's not like a Nevison job or anything like that, right? So, but other than that, I think that everything that he's done with them is good, and I totally agree with you that Ace Frehley's record is really well done, and sounds fantastic. So I think that if anything, Eddie Kramer should have been kept around a lot longer than he did for production of Kiss records.
Yep, agreed. All right, who else? Lonnie.
No, I mean it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous thread. I'm sorry to whoever posted it, but it's kind of a ridiculous thread in my opinion. I mean, in my opinion, other than Revenge, Rock and Roll Over is the best sounding Kiss studio record that there is. Yeah, Love Gun sounds polished, but it's still Love Gun. It still sounds. It doesn't sound like Rock and Roll Over, but it still sounds pretty damn good.
It's still Love Gun. I mean, for God's sakes.
Exactly, that's my point. Exactly. It doesn't sound like Rock and Roll Over, but it sounds pretty damn good. And in my opinion, Kiss really made a mistake by, and I know why they made Vinnie Poncia the producer of Dynasty, but how much better could have Dynasty? And not that I dislike the sound of Dynasty, but what would have Dynasty sounded like had Eddie Kramer produced it? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a topic for another show, I guess. But back to the original question, no. Gosh, no. I mean, Eddie Kramer should have continued to be Kiss's producer ongoing, because he captured that Kiss sound that was missing. I mean, granted, Destroyer, they went a different direction with Bob Ezrin. Mark, whatever, think of it as you may. But it's the sound that they were trying. It's the sound that they were trying to capture in the studio for the first three studio records, and then Eddie got it right on Kiss Alive. They went with Ezrin for Destroyer. They went back to Eddie for Rock and Roll Over, and they should have stuck with him because he found it. So post Alive, Eddie Kramer letdown? Absolutely not. He should have stuck with him because he was doing a great job of capturing that live Kiss sound.
I mean, he even captured them perfectly at the very beginning too, with the demo. I mean, the demo
those sound so much better than most. I like those better than what's on the original album.
So, here we are. We're able to take a thread that I knew was going to be kind of laughed at without insulting the people who participated and discussed it. I mean, that was just kind of the point. That it's nuts, but I kind of get what they were talking about, but totally just disagree with kind of where it was. All right, let's leave that there this week. Rather than, I don't want to go into what would have been the kind of the main course of these topics, because it would just take us well over another half hour to kind of discuss, and maybe we'll be able to come back to that part of it. But for all these short takes that we've talked about today, what do you think? What's your take on songs that are sick of seeing in the set, or the iconic Kiss songs that you don't like? I mean, get yourself a shovel. Revenge, has it grown for you or not? And openers for the summer tour. I mean, if you're really down with a puppet show or some ice sculpting, let us know. If you got a better one, I mean, maybe some cooking on stage, or Gallagher, stand-up comedy.
Gallagher.
Let's get the Sledge-O-Matic out. Let us know what you think about all these topics that we've talked today, and tell us the things that we missed and probably should have covered, because we do like talking to you as well about your thoughts on these episodes. Watermelons. Yeah, that sounds good to me. All right. For now, from Mark, from Ken, from Lonnie, and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.